You know, this very much is Lily's story, and Lily's a person who leads with empathy, and in that she wants to understand why everybody is the way that they are.
My dad was just of that generation where it's just like he was Clint Eastwood, less is more. Simple grunts is how he communicated.
Are we watching a star-studded love story unfold, or is this the cunning takeover no one saw coming? You might think It Ends With Us is just another best-selling novel turning into a Hollywood film, but according to a growing swirl of rumors, there's a secret blueprint behind the scenes, and it may have more twists than the novel itself. Some say it's a brilliant strategy by Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, borrowed straight from the Deadpool playbook. Others insist it's just an overblown set of conspiracy theories. Either way, you'll want to buckle up, because if the speculation holds any truth, this isn't just about bringing Colleen Hoover's beloved story to life. It's allegedly the first step in a strategic plan to take creative control away from the original director, Justin Baldoni, and transform a modest adaptation into a potential comedic empire. From rumored script rewrites to hush-hush cost overruns, it all points to a behind-the-scenes chess match you won't believe. Let's dive into every rumored power move, bombshell revelation, and piece of wild speculation. And by the end, you can decide for yourself if it's fact or fiction. When Justin Baldoni secured the rights to It Ends With Us, fans were ecstatic. Known for heartfelt storytelling and 5 Feet Apart, Baldoni seemed like the perfect choice to lead this deeply emotional Colleen Hoover novel onto the big screen. Initially, the film's prospects sparkled: a modest budget, an iconic romance, and a director committed to respecting the book's resonant themes. At first, everything sounded dreamy. According to interviews, Baldoni had a clear vision: preserve Hoover's raw emotional journey while giving it a cinematic sheen. Sources close to the production say he poured his own finances into the project, possibly up to half the final budget, because he believes so strongly in the story. Fans braced themselves for a heartfelt adaptation, and with a star like Blake Lively attached, it seemed unstoppable. But as soon as rumors of behind-the-scenes drama trickled out, the internet latched onto every little thing. Some whispered that Blake Lively was stepping into more than just an on-screen role. Others insisted that Ryan Reynolds, Lively's husband and comedic powerhouse, was quietly coaching her on how to secure influence. Could this tension all be standard Hollywood noise, or was it the first sign of a bigger storm? What's certain is that the film's early development quickly departed from the usual path. The chatter about overshadowing budgets, rumored comedic rewrites, and friction with Baldoni only got louder. And as we'll soon uncover, the speculation goes far beyond standard creative differences. The seeds of a complex takeover might have been planted from day one. When Blake Lively's name appeared in headlines as the lead actress for It Ends With Us, fans were thrilled until they saw the rumored salary. Despite being an A-list star, reports claimed she accepted a surprisingly low base pay, roughly $3 million. That's still a huge figure for most of us, but for someone of Lively's caliber, it's suspiciously modest. Suddenly, parallels arose between Lively's move and Ryan Reynolds' famed strategy for the first Deadpool. He too took a smaller upfront check, around $2 million, only to secure massive creative influence and a chunk of the profits. Did Lively's decision indicate a similar plan, especially since rumors claim she insisted on an executive producer credit right from the start?
And we went into the audition, and he signed in, and then the casting director came out and said, "Blake?" And Eric said, "Yep, that's her." And I just thought I was gonna die. And she said, "We don't have you on our call sheet." And he said, "Oh," and he put his agency's name. And so I auditioned, and I didn't know what to say in that moment. I was 16, and my brother had just written my name on a piece of paper, and they were looking at me. So I walked in the room and did the audition.
Here's where the story gets intriguing. An executive producer title can be mostly honorary, or it can be a stepping stone to real control. Critiques and internet sleuths speculated that Lively was doing exactly what Ryan did. By coming in under budget, she earned trust, both from Baldoni and from financiers, while simultaneously gaining a foothold in the project's core decisions. If you're thinking it's just another standard Hollywood contract negotiation, consider that It Ends With Us had a modest $25 million budget. Not only that, but large portions of this money came straight from Justin Baldoni's own resources or his smaller studio connections. Walking away from such a project halfway through filming would be catastrophic for Baldoni, forcing him to recast a lead actress while strapped for cash. This dynamic gave Lively what some call quiet leverage. If rumor has it right, it was the first sign that bigger manipulations might loom ahead. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. As more speculation surfaces, it appears that once Lively had her foot in the door, she might have been waiting for the perfect moment to reveal her real game plan. And if you think a single actress can't completely change an entire film's course, just wait until you hear how the budget meltdown supposedly went down. Rumors suggest Blake Lively let production roll until the halfway mark before dropping a series of game-changing demands. Why wait? Because once half the money is spent, you reach a point of no return. Telling your lead star no at that stage could collapse the entire project, especially if that star is the major box office draw you're betting on. Insider rumblings point to a particular flashpoint: costumes. The production allegedly spent a chunk of its budget on Lily Bloom's wardrobe, carefully aligning the character's style to the novel's emotional beats. Then, apparently out of nowhere, Lively insisted those outfits were unflattering or incompatible with the comedic tone she envisioned. She demanded brand new costumes, effectively doubling that segment of the budget. In a big studio with deep pockets, that might be a hiccup. For Baldoni's smaller operation, it was a crisis. So why didn't Justin Baldoni hold firm? Some say he couldn't. If Lively walked, the project might fold. Recouping millions already spent would be nearly impossible, and the clock was ticking. The team had schedules, sets, and a locked cast. With the looming threat of losing their biggest star, sources say Baldoni had to cave, fueling whispers that Lively was quietly gathering power behind the scenes. Yet it wasn't just costumes. Word on the internet claims she also lobbied for comedic elements, telling Justin that the original script felt too heavy and that a bit of levity would draw a wider audience. There's nothing unusual about actors wanting to tweak a script, except that, in this case, some watchers think the comedic shift clashed with the novel's deeper exploration of trauma. Tension was brewing, but it was about to skyrocket when Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift apparently entered the fray. But that, you might be thinking, sounds too extreme. Where do these rumors even come from? Hold on, because the next piece of the puzzle features alleged cameo invites, behind-the-scenes phone calls, and a certain Game of Thrones reference that might blow this whole scenario wide open.
It's a bit of a tough adjustment in our house, but it's good. I mean, I have two other daughters, so my oldest is very into the baby, but my middle child, not so much. But we're thinking of keeping her.
Does she like play with her? What does she think?
Well, she sort of like pretends to play with her. So like in the beginning, our oldest is like loving on her, and she's like very maternal, and then our middle daughter is just keeps away from her.
According to swirling rumors, Blake Lively jokingly, or maybe not so jokingly, referred to herself as Khaleesi, the queen who commands dragons, and her dragons are none other than Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift. The idea might sound absurd, but the speculation goes like this. Swift has a colossal fan base and the power to shift pop culture narratives in a heartbeat. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds is a comedic genius who's proven he can mold a script to his liking and spin big box office success out of irreverent, witty dialogue. The rumor mill claims the trio staged a surprise script session at Lively's home. Justin Baldoni allegedly arrived expecting a small chat and found himself confronted by all three. Perhaps that's an exaggeration, but multiple gossip sites reported that Swift and Reynolds gave enthusiastic notes, encouraging comedic additions. It's said that Baldoni initially resisted. It Ends With Us is, after all, a story saturated in heartbreak, complex relationships, and very real issues like DV. But the group allegedly pressured him, leaving him feeling outnumbered. Some fans wonder if Swift was set to cameo in the film, or maybe even contribute to the soundtrack, in exchange for leaning more into punchy banter sequences. Is there any validity to these claims? Well, references to Swift possibly appearing or having music in the film have floated around online. Meanwhile, we know Ryan Reynolds has experience rewriting comedic lines. He's done it for multiple projects, not just Deadpool. So it's not hard to picture him tinkering with dialogue in a Friends film. Critics argue this comedic tone overshadowed the main themes. Defenders say a little comedic edge doesn't ruin a romance drama. It can enrich it. Whichever side you're on, it's clear that if these rumors hold water, a major pivot in creative direction was unfolding. The word hostile takeover started surfacing in corners of the internet, and ironically, the timing lined up perfectly with something else that would give Lively even more leverage: an industry-wide strike. When the recent strike swept through Hollywood, countless projects ground to a halt. It Ends With Us was no exception. For many productions, a strike-induced pause is a huge inconvenience, a forced delay with ballooning costs. But in the realm of rumor, for Blake Lively, this was the perfect chance to renegotiate and tighten her grip on the adaptation. Why? Because once production is stalled, everyone's itching to get back on track, especially with money already spent. Speculation says Lively used this downtime to present a new list of demands. She wanted an official say in marketing decisions, had strong preferences on comedic punch-ups, and possibly asked for her own team of editors to finalize certain scenes. Some stories even claim the music composer was replaced with someone who had ties to Swift or to the comedic style the star trio wanted. This might all sound outlandish. Doesn't a director normally retain creative control? Yes, in theory.
Well, I love romance. I'm a hopeless romantic. Romance is like everywhere in my life, but I had never read a romance novel, and I didn't understand why. And I'm sure a part of that has to do with my unconscious subscription to the man box and I shouldn't, that's not manly. But I read this novel and I couldn't even finish it.
But if a film star and rumored co-producer threatens to step away, you're left with the dreaded scenario of recasting mid-production or scrapping the entire thing. Rumors also suggest that Lively invoked her friendship with Taylor Swift as an added wild card, implying that Swift's involvement and her enormous fan base could be lost if the demands weren't met. Meanwhile, parallels to Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, two renegotiations are almost too eerie. Ryan famously leveraged the success of the first Deadpool to command a gigantic raise, plus more creative authority. Some watchers say Lively was using the strike exactly the same way, a prime moment for renegotiation when the film's backers, including Justin Baldoni, were desperate not to lose momentum or star power. But the real turning point, many speculate, came when talk of the editing process began. If there's any single area that can transform a film's tone, it's post-production. And that's exactly where the rumors say Lively's power play became unstoppable. For a director, the protected editing period is sacred ground. It's where raw footage becomes a cohesive story. Typically, only the director and approved editors shape the final cut, but rumor has it Blake Lively secured special access for days at a time, culminating in the replacement of Baldoni's favored editors, with new hires linked to Ryan Reynolds' comedic circle. Imagine the behind-the-scenes tension. Baldoni, who championed this adaptation from the start, might have felt powerless, as comedic lines overshadowed the novel's darker, more emotional arcs. Meanwhile, Lively allegedly insisted it was necessary to broaden the film's audience and ensure commercial success. Depending on your perspective, she was either saving the film from being too heavy or stripping away the novel's soul. As talk of these editorial battles raged, more drama surfaced regarding the soundtrack. Some sources claim the original composer parted ways abruptly, possibly due to a personal conflict with Swift or a clash of creative visions. In the vacuum, Lively and Swift recommended a composer who could seamlessly integrate upbeat or witty musical cues, another step away from the book's gritty authenticity, if you believe the critics. Each rumor on its own might seem like standard production friction, but line them all up, and a narrative emerges, Lively systematically positioning herself as the real force behind the film. Even Baldoni's supporters online began lamenting that the heartfelt adaptation he'd dreamt of was slipping away under comedic rewrites and star-led modifications. Some corners of the internet declared it a tragedy for Colleen Hoover's story, while others insisted it was brilliant marketing in action. Yet the biggest bombshell was still to come, because once a new cut existed, a comedic toned-down version of It Ends With Us.
Oh, it's so hard. Look, first of all, being a director is a very lonely job, and there's a lot of pressure. And I think the only way that I got through it is I just surrounded myself with people that were so much smarter than me. As it relates to the acting part, it's a heavy load to carry. I wanted to do as much justice as I could to survivors by making Ryle as truthful as possible.
While others insisted it was brilliant marketing in action. Yet the biggest bombshell was still to come, because once a new cut existed, a comedic toned-down version of It Ends With Us, Lively allegedly had one more card to play, refusing to promote the film unless her version was chosen for final release. Promotion is everything in Hollywood. A star's absence from red carpets or talk shows can tank a film's hype almost overnight. According to the rumor mill, Blake Lively threatened exactly that. If Baldoni insisted on releasing his more emotionally faithful director's cut, she'd bow out of all major promo, possibly encouraging Swift to do the same. Without her endorsement, or the novel's star author, Colleen Hoover, It Ends With Us could lose vital momentum. Why would Lively escalate matters to nuclear levels? Speculation points to one big reason: the official Producers Guild of America credit. Many celebrities get vanity producer labels, but real power lies in the PGA certification, which requires fulfilling key production duties, like shaping the script, overseeing budgets, coordinating music, and guiding editing. If Lively could demonstrate that she handled all these areas, she'd secure a recognized producer title, just as Ryan Reynolds did for Deadpool 2. Some fans see this as a calculated master plan, orchestrating each step to claim full producer status. Others call it a typical star push for bigger influence. But rumor watchers claim Lively's real goal is to build a multi-film pipeline adapting Colleen Hoover's entire library. With Hoover's blessing, Lively and Reynolds could replicate the comedic-laced romance approach across multiple books, turning each adaptation into a marketable event. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni, the original champion of It Ends With Us, would be sidelined, overshadowed by Lively's star power and alleged behind-the-scenes prowess. Of course, the final piece in this puzzle is how the audience reacts once the movie hits theaters. If viewers love it, Lively emerges a hero for injecting comedic relief into a heavy story. If they hate it for straying too far from the source material, the blame might fall on everyone involved. Regardless, from a rumored power strategy viewpoint, Lively stands to gain a recognized producer credit, expanded clout, and a blueprint for future projects.
I was like making like, I don't know, juice with like, there was this like maple water on set and I was like, oh, water tapped from a maple tree. This is exciting. But instead of just like handing him a plastic red cup that I was drinking out of, I like went and got the martini glass, a crystal glass, and like shook it up for him properly because you can't hand that man a red cup.
No.
Like, and so he's like standing on a dock with like mud around and he's holding a crystal martini glass. It was just juice and maple water.
So, It Ends With Us the product of a carefully choreographed takeover by Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds? Or is it just another case of internet hysteria? Skeptics remind us that film productions are always rife with rumors, and that creative differences can be blown way out of proportion. Maybe Lively's demands weren't so extreme, or perhaps the comedic angle was always part of the plan to help the adaptation stand out. But if the puzzle pieces align even half as neatly as the rumor mill claims, then we're witnessing a textbook lesson in quiet Hollywood power moves, one that transforms an emotional drama into a comedic spin and potentially grants Lively a permanent seat in the producer's throne room. And poor Justin Baldoni, who once carried the torch for a faithful adaptation, might be left as a footnote in a story he helped bring into existence. In the end, the truth probably lies somewhere between genius-level plotting and typical behind-the-scenes wrangling. Yet these rumblings have certainly added a new layer of intrigue to It Ends With Us. Will the final cut honor the book's harrowing journey or lean into star-driven comedic flair? Did Lively's rumored alliances with Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift truly tip the scales, or is that just Reddit gossip on overdrive? That's for you to decide. Let me know your theories in the comments. Brilliant strategy or blown out of proportion rumors? Whatever you believe, the collision of big stars, beloved novels, and behind-the-scenes deals is bound to keep us on the edge of our seats. Until next time, stay curious and keep your eyes peeled, because if there's one thing Hollywood never lacks, it's a shocking new twist waiting just around the corner.